everyone, it's Bob McCraney with This Month in Realty, and today I'm super happy to have back Heather Witte. This is a special edition we're doing with Heather. We are in a very strange market. Heather, as you know, is with EXP Realty in the Austin and Georgetown area of Texas. We want to talk a little bit about the market in Texas, but also in the nation. And let's talk about the turbulent times we're going through. Heather, tell us about the market.
So it is definitely what I would call changing. I hear a lot of people freaking out right now, literally like, oh my God, the sky is falling. And I want to caution people about that. Yes, on a national level, there's a whole lot going on. And will there be a trickle-down effect? Of course, there always has been. But if you think back to when the mortgage crisis happened in 2008, Austin was not hit like some of we felt it here, but it was not nearly as affected as some areas. Like Arizona got beat up, and so did California. I mean, there's other areas of the country that felt it so much harder than we did here in Texas. And right now, what I think we're feeling at this immediate moment is more of a seasonality. And it's more that I think people haven't seen it for the past couple of years so much because of the pandemic kind of screwed everything up. But right now, what I'm feeling is just the seasonal softening that we see every single year in the market. Okay. So I'm cautioning people not to freak out too much yet.
Right. And
does that make sense?
I've been in the business since 2003. You said you were in the business since 2009?
I started full-time January of 2009. I've had my license since 2007, but yeah.
So we know that markets have bumps. Markets have turbulence.
Yes.
And that supply and demand will kick back in at some point and things will go well.
Yep. Always.
What I'm likening this to, and I know you have some numbers behind this, when COVID first hit in March of 2020, the market did this 4 to 6 week stop. Everything just ground to a halt.
Yep.
And then after we figured out what it was going to do and we could all wear masks and some gloves and be okay-ish, May, June, July just went crazy. I think right now we've got a war in Europe. We've got crazy things going on, and we're in this kind of like 4 to 6 week what's going to happen mode, and then it's going to go crazy again. That's kind of my prediction. What do you think?
Well, so I was going to show everyone, and let me just share my screen here to show you the seasonality that we have in Texas. So this is pre-pandemic, January 2018 to the end of 2019, and then we have the pandemic to today, okay? And this is number of new listings. So these are new listings each month that hit the market, okay? Not the ones that are just sitting there active, right? They're brand new to the market. Right. And so as you can see in March, April, May, each year, it's kind of a similar little bump, it goes up a little bit, right?
Right.
And this is 4,000 here, 4,000 here. So we're on the same scale, right? And so here you see 2020, we're just leaving alone because it was just crazy. No one knew what was going on there.
It was the exception.
It was the exception. So 2021, here we have, kind of the same little rise a little bit. And here you see the same thing this year. Right? So as far as the number of new listings, we're seeing a similar pattern, okay? A little lower numbers than prior years, right? So we still have an inventory shortage, but you still see a similar pattern where it kind of ramps up throughout the year, right?
So if I'm reading this right, May of last year and May of this year are not that far off.
They're not terribly far off now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that being the case, let's look at the number of sales. Right. So that's another great thing to look at. So here again, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, we're looking at March, April, May, right? And so here again, now the scale's a little bit different. Here's 3,000 over here to 3,500. So these are a little bit higher numbers over here. So as you can see, you've got kind of the rise here as we head into the summer months. And then you see it trickle off as we get towards the end of the year. And then another little bump in December. We always have a little bump in December. Okay, that's always been the case. And the reason for that, folks, this is a great little thing to keep in mind if you're looking to sell your home, is that if people have children and they don't move during the summer months, when school's out, they're going to move during what? Winter break.
Right.
Right. So we always have this little bump here in December. of higher sales. So again, you see this kind of pattern emerge. Here, it's a little flatter, right? We don't see that little rise that we normally see. So that's one indication that things might be changing a little bit, but it's not horrible. And then here is where you see a big difference pre-pandemic to pandemic. This is 7,000 versus 5.
Right.
Okay, so quite a bit different, big difference there. But again, you see some seasonality. The same pattern happens. Even in 2020, you had higher sales those months. But then in 2021, this was our active listings. These are the number that are actively out there on the market. You can see very few. The inventory was like rock bottom in 2021. And same here at the beginning of 2022, but now we start seeing the inventory going back up, but it still hasn't reached, you know, the July, August, September numbers of last year. So it's not like we have this glut of inventory at this moment. Right. So that's where I wanted to caution people not to, you know, run around screaming that the sky is falling, because if you look at the actual numbers, that's not the case. Buyers, however, are being a little more picky, I would say. They're not just, you know, clawing over the person in front of them trying to get to any house that goes on the market. They're being a little more discerning about what they're looking for. If it's not the right house, they're waiting, you know, because now they're paying higher interest rates. That's more money they're having to spend, so they want to spend it wisely.
We're having people who they list their house on Thursday or Friday and they don't have multiple offers by Monday and they're freaking out. And we're having to tell them, you know, 3 days on market is not the time to have a fit.
Gosh, back after the mortgage crisis, how many months were you on market until, you know, you were like, well, we might need to consider.
Well, why didn't we get multiple offers over asking price? Because it's not November of 2021. It's changed. And we had been predicting, we'd been telling people be on the market before August of 22. What we should have realized is that the A in August should have been A for April. You know, we got the A part right. We were close. We were just a few months early in how things happened. And the predictors are right now that the mortgage rates have gone up to the level they're going to go up. There might be a little tiny shift now, but the big hit's been done. And actually, some of my lenders are seeing rates come back down just a titch.
A little bit,
So they're breathing a little bit better. And I think when we record this in a month or two, we're going to have different numbers that will be showing a little bit brighter future than right now, when people are like, what, they don't know what's coming next, so they're just questioning it.
Well, and the thing to remember, and I remember I bought my first home in 2022, in 2002. Okay. And back then it was my first home. I didn't know any better. Interest rates on my first mortgage, I had a 6.5% interest on my first, and I did an 80-10-10 combo so that I didn't have to pay PMI, which was crazy back then. And my second mortgage was 8 3/4. And I was like, okay,
you felt fine about that.
I was, because that's what it was. That's what it was. Now, granted, housing prices were lower, but I guarantee I wasn't making what people are making salary-wise today either back then.
I think one of the big differences, some people think, oh, there's a bubble, it's going to burst, there's going to be foreclosure. There's not, because back when you bought the house, and my ex and I bought a house around the same time, if you wanted to spend on a $300,000 house, let's say you wanted to bid $330,000. They used to overcapitalize the loan $330,000. They would mortgage you $330,000 on that. But let's go get it. Nowadays, if you want to bid $330,000, you need to come over that $30,000 in cash.
Absolutely.
They're not overcapitalizing properties. Things are not over leveraged. There's actually a nationally more equity in our homes than we've ever had. There's not going to be a pop. It's just where the market is today, people. Just take a deep breath.
Which is still very surprising to me when people are concerned about their homes going back to the bank. I'm like, don't let your home go back to the bank. If for some reason, you know, with the deferment or anything like that, you lose your job, whatever, do not let the bank take your home. Sell your home. That's a big piggy bank. Take that money, because everyone has gotten so much equity built up in their home over the past even 2 years. You know, so don't let that go to somebody else. You earn that.
Okay, Heather, how would somebody contact you?
Best way is to call me, and it's 512-994-4663.
Okay, come back next month. We'll have
Absolutely.
different news next month.
Yes.
Okay, great. Tune in next month to hear more from Heather and other real estate experts around the United States and Canada. Take care.
Bye.